Hi, in this video we're going to talk about why the PoE standard doesn't work with the DC24 voltage capacitive PoE. This is the CPE which accepts the DC24 voltage capacitive PoE. This is the PoE injector coming with the PoE. This PoE injector only output DC24 voltage capacitive PoE. If we use the, as we know, if we use the PoE standard, we can repeat the PoE network. One PoE standard can repeat another 328 feet. When two of these working together, we can have about 1000 feet continuous run. But it doesn't work if we just use the passive PoE system and add the PoE standard within the link. There are two reasons why the PoE standard doesn't work with the passive PoE. The first thing is about the voltage. The passive PoE, as we mentioned, it uses the DC24 voltage. In the standard PoE, we use at least DC48. Sometimes we can use up to DC55. When the voltage is lower than DC36.5, the standard PoE system will consider the voltage is overload. It will shut down the whole system. So if you just use the passive PoE injector to inject the power and try to send through this PoE standard, the voltage will become overload. The whole system will not work. So even you see the power coming through this PoE standard and you see the device being light up, but there's no data coming through. The reason is the chipset will not work because the voltage is overload. You may wonder why the standard PoE use DC48 but not DC24. You see there are always power loss during the transmission. The longer the distance, the more power loss will be. DC24 voltage is not enough to adapt to the power loss during the transmission within the 328 feet. That's the reason the standard PoE use DC48. Sometimes we'll need higher, like the DC55. Okay, this is the first reason. The second thing is about the power handshaking. In the passive PoE, there's no power handshaking. The power just will inject to the cable and send to the edge device like the CPE immediately. With the standard PoE system, this is standard PoE injector. Before it sends the power to the edge device, it will send small currency to detect, to classify and verify edge device. This PoE injector, it will monitor the feedback. If the feedback is not right, the PoE injector is not going to send any power to the edge. Just protect your edge device. So without the power handshaking, the power negotiation, the DC24 voltage passive PoE is not good for long run. Alright, now let's just move to the whiteboard and see whether we can set up the workaround to use the standard PoE to work with the passive PoE system or not. These are two PoE standard. If we put these two PoE standard working together with the standard PoE, we can have up to 1000 feet continuous run. You can reference my another video how to use these two PoE standard to set up the 1000 feet network. This is 1000 feet Ethernet cable. Now let's just DC train this two PoE standard to the passive PoE and see what will happen. First thing is, let's just add the first PoE standard next to the router. This is the PoE injector. Okay, I'm going to power this PoE injector. And I'll use the short punch code to link the LAN port. This is LAN port to one of the network port. Now I'm going to add this PoE standard after the PoE injector. Remember, when we need to have 1000 continuous, we need to flick the PoE standard, flick the input and output. So now the output is facing to the PoE injector. And from here, we are going to connect the one end of the 1000 feet Ethernet cable. Okay, the next thing is let's move to the another end of the cable, just the 1000 feet. Here we don't need to flick. Remember, we just use the input, face into input. Now, but we should have the short punch code to link output to our CPE. There's two port. One is the port with the PoE, so let's just power up. Let's say once the power up, we don't see now we see the CPU is getting the power. And it seems work, but if we check, let's just check the PoE standard. Both indicator is not on. The data power indicator and also the data indicator is not on. The thing is because in the passive PoE system, when the voltage is less than 36.5, it's not going to light up. I mean, the PoE extender is not going to work. Even the power can pass through because the passive PoE it doesn't have power handshaking. If you inject the power, no matter how, so the power can pass through this 2 PoE extender and reach to the CPE. You can see the CPE it's light up, but we don't get any data. The thing is, the 2 PoE extender actually is not working. Okay, now what is the workaround? We cannot use the passive PoE standard to work with the passive PoE. Actually, like what we mentioned, the passive PoE is not suitable for extension. So the solution is we need to convert the passive PoE to the standard PoE. Now it's the DC24 voltage pass through this cable. We need to use the standard PoE. In order to do this, we need to have 2 equipment. This is the injector we mentioned. It's the standard PoE injector. It will output DC48 voltage. So we need to replace the PoE injector, replace the passive PoE injector with the standard PoE injector. But remember, we also mentioned the power handshaking. If we just replace this one, it still not work. The reason is the edge device. This one is not the standard PoE equipment. It will send a small currency to classify and classify edge device. If they monitor the feedback is not right, it will not send the power. Let's just try to do that and see what will happen. Okay, now I'm going to replace this PoE injector by using this standard PoE injector. And also connect the data to the LAN port and the PoE port to the PoE. It's supposed to, you see the PoE indicator is not on. And also move to the CPE. The CPE is also not on. This is what I mentioned about the power handshaking. So when we connect the standard PoE to the passive PoE device, it will not release the power because the PoE injector already know that's not the standard PoE equipment. So in this solution, we still need the PoE splitter. This is the standard PoE splitter. So the splitter will have to take the input from the PoE injector and output. We got one data and the DC12 voltage. Okay, now let's just connect the PoE splitter to the end of the cable. This is the input. Once I connect input, you can see the power is on. Now we're getting the power. Let's also check the indicator. Both power and data indicator is on. That means the whole system, the whole PoE system is being up. Now what I need just use the short punch code to link the data port to this CPE. You see this CPE also accept the DC12 voltage. That's nice because we can connect the power port to this DC12 voltage input and use this short cable to supply the power for this CPE. Once connect in, you can see now you're getting data and power. That's the workaround. In this case, the voltage going through this cable is DC48, it's not DC24. We have to add the PoE injector, also the PoE splitter to convert this section to become the standard PoE. For the CPE, it just get the power and the data. There's nothing about, it doesn't involve in any PoE system in this CPU because the CPU uses the passive PoE. Alright, that's all for today's video. If you have any question, please post in the comment section below. See you next time.